press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hi students, in the last class we have discussed about the radioactivity, spontaneous emission of radiation from the unstable nucleus emitting radiations of alpha, beta and gamma rays. Out of that we come to know the property of radioactivity, like it is spontaneous phenomena and it is nuclear phenomena, as good as it is a instantaneous but prolonged process, irreversible process, and other details we have discussed in the last class. And also we have taken the properties of alpha, beta and gamma rays together. Along with that, we also come to know the one law, because entire radioactivity is governed by two different laws. One is called displacement law and another is the disintegration law. In the displacement law, we come to know in a disintegration of a nucleus, either alpha or beta is emitted associates with the gamma ray. And in alpha decay, what happens? We knew nucleus formed reduced by 4 number in mass number and also in charge number decreases by 2. New nucleus will form. It is under alpha decay and details we discuss. Now today we are going to see about the beta decay. Beta decay is nothing but when a neutron converts into a proton in the nucleus. Inside the nucleus, when neutron converts into proton, beta decay plays space, the negative charge comes out in the form of the electron, which we called it as a beta ray. So it is emission of beta particle. So the equation XAZ generally written under beta decay go to Y, mass number remains same but atomic number increases by 1 plus beta decay plus energy, as expecting this earlier stage. Example, let us take thorium 234 90 undergoing beta decay, practinium 234 91 plus electron or beta particle and the charge emits. But this energy what we are seeing, nothing but Q value is equal to mass of X minus mass of Y minus 2 mass of Me. We expect that one into C square, or mass of X minus mass of Y minus 2 Me into 931.5 mega electron volt, it is in the joules. So however we come to know a neutron when converted into a proton inside the nucleus, negative beta decay, particularly called as electron, emits in the form of beta particle. And general equation given to you and specific example, thorium converted into practinium with the beta particle and energy. Maximum energy emitted, we see this one. What happens in this? Mass number remains same, A remains same. Atomic number, if you look into Z, increase by 1, increase by 1, Z plus 1, it increases by 1 compared to the previous one. And when you look into mass numbers are same, mass numbers are same but charge number of different. So isobars, parent and daughter, if you look in, they are the isobars. Under beta decay, isobar of the parent nuclei is formed. That is what isobars are formed. And if you taken the neutron proton ratio, it slightly decreases because neutron convert into proton, there is a decrease in that visible. And if you look into the energy distribution, it's not found to be same in the beta particle. So the curve, if you look into, taking the relative number of beta particles, relative number of beta particles with the energy of beta particles is not found to be unique and same in beta decay as like we are observed in case of a alpha. Appears to be wide range, almost 0 to maximum, and goes on decreases, become 0 at the end. The energy may be high for very few particles. Low energy particles are appear to be large in number. Beta particle energy is not found to be same. And another one picture we see here is that a neutron convert into a proton. A nuclear reaction holds good only when certain conditions of nuclear reaction should satisfy. That law of conservation of momentum should satisfy, energy satisfies, and proton number, neutron number, baryon number, and spin, angular momentum, all these should be satisfied. Here proton and neutron, if you take in this example, proton and neutron are the half spin particle, half into h upon 2 pi angular momentum they have. When a neutron and proton is converted, if I take the equation neutron converting into a proton plus a beta particle, so the proton and neutron or half spin is agreed, conservation of angular momentum is agreed, but this again get a half spin particle where angular momentum is not conserved, energy is not conserved. So some other particle is emitted along with this. That was the argument given by the Pauli, and stated that some particle which can carry the missing energy of these beta particles, where the variation is that varying energy must be carried by some other particle to compensate the energy law of conservation. So that means energy maximum emitted minus energy of beta particles is carried by some particle that is called as in this case a neutrino or antineutrino. Here beta emission, it is a particle, an antineutrino is emitted. That means this equation associates with an antineutrino plus energy, and here I can write it is antineutrino plus energy. That is why we taken the total as minus 2 ME. Energy maximum that we are expected in the reaction, mx minus my minus me. So this maximum energy minus energy of the beta particle should be carried by some other particle. This neutrino or antineutrino particle which is emitted under beta decay, when a neutron convert into a proton, this neutrino has no charge, no rest mass, carrying the missing energy, and has the spin half. This has a spin half. So that is about the beta decay. When beta decay take place means when a nucleus undergo disintegration, emits beta particle due to the conversion of neutron into a proton, because beta particles are not pre-existing inside the nucleus. When that conversion take place, neutron into proton, beta particle is emitted. So the new nucleus formed will have the same mass number, but charge number increased by 1, atomic number increased by 1, and the energy that is observed to be not found constant. It is found to be continuously a wide range. So average energy, if you are expecting, means in this average energy of beta particle, if you want, this is nothing but area of this curve divided by total number of beta particles. That gives you the answer. Average energy of beta particle emitted can be taken as area under this curve divided by total number of beta particles gives you the energy of the beta particles. But however, the one observation made that when neutron convert into proton, angular momentum and spin quantum numbers are not satisfactory. Because of that, this compensating the spin quantum number and energy losses, and missing energy carrying particle, no charge, no rest mass, but having spin half is emitted along with this. That was just a proposal at beginning, but it is observed practically after 1964, and neutrino and antineutrino are the two particles are emitting. Here what we discussed is about the beta decay, negative beta decay. What we discussed here, we discussed in alpha decay. Like here, what is meant by beta decay means when a nucleus undergo disintegration by emission of beta rays, we call it as nucleus undergone beta decay. Beta is nothing but we also already discussed it is an electron. So therefore, it is not pre-existing. That is possible only when a proton neutron convert into proton. A general equation and energy releasing equation also I given you, and specific example always you have to write. Whenever beta particle is emitted, negative beta particle, then antineutrino is emitted. I given the explanation for that, because the energy of the beta particle is not unique. It is having a continuous range from 0 to end point. Large range it is observable, and this makes us to think some other particle is carrying that missing energy of the calculation and half spin to account. Such new particle in this case emitted is a antineutrino, mass number same, atomic number increased by 1, daughter is an isobar of the parent, isobars are formed, and neutron to proton ratio you take, it slightly decreases because neutron convert into a proton. Neutron number decreases, proton number increases, but mass number remain same. This is regarding the beta decay, negative beta decay. Let us come to positive beta decay. In case of positive beta decay, a proton convert into positive beta decay. Proton converted into a neutron plus beta. Plus now I am saying there is a neutrino plus energy. General equation I written, otherwise phosphorus 3015, you can take it as neutron plus silicon 3014 plus beta plus neutrino plus Q. Neutrino is a particle, positron is an antiparticle. A specific example given for the positive beta decay, where proton is converted into a neutron with positron and neutrino. Positron is antiparticle, neutrino is a particle. Antineutrino is antiparticle of this. Neutrino is again charge 0, rest mass is 0, carrying missing energy of this beta. Here even in positive decay is observed to be like this curve similar. It also exhibits the same variation, and we can get the best energy of the each beta particle is average area under the curve divided by total number of beta particles emitted in that interval. So that neutrino is particle and P neutrino is an antiparticle of this neutrino. Both are having no charge, no rest mass, they carrying the missing energy of the beta decay and have the spin half. So this is the specific example given. Even in this case we are saying mass number is same, Z atomic number decrease by 1. In this atomic number decrease by 1, and again isobar is formed because mass number same, atomic number differs, where we call them as isobar. Daughter is a isobar of the parent. Neutron to proton ratio, here it is increases. Because neutron number increases, proton number decreases, slightly increase in that ratio we see in this case. That is about the beta decay, positive decay and negative decay. When proton convert into neutron, remember this more importantly both for board and entrance required, under beta decay we take two types of positive beta decay possible when proton convert into neutron plus a positron plus a neutrino and energy. In a negative beta decay, neutron convert into proton plus negative beta plus anti-neutrino Q. Remember this correctly, the relation. Proton convert into neutron, remember neutrino is emitting. When a neutron convert into proton, directly anti-neutrino is emitting. Or in a negative beta decay, anti-neutrino. In positron decay, neutrino is emitting, which is a compensating particle appeared when under beta decay due to the compensation of energy and also the spin disparity. So that are the two beta decays, either positive or negative. Usually we discuss about the negative beta decay, positive beta decay is also existing. And another one factor as per your entrance concerned you have to know is about the K capture. In this, if you consider a nucleus, a K shell is the innermost shell. A K shell electron get into the nucleus, captured by a proton, then it convert into a neutron. A proton convert into a neutron by capturing an outside electron from the K shell is called as a K capture. For example, if I taken beryllium 74 leading to plus electron capture -10 leading to lithium 73 plus energy liberates. Proton convert into neutron but mass number remains same even in this case. Capturing of K shell electron into the nucleus of beryllium that convert into lithium and energy releases. So even in this case isobars are forming because mass number same, charge number differs. And even if you take on the neutron to proton ratio increases, mass number same, charge number differ, decrease by 1. Even in the periodic table the element come one house back. There is a drawing back of that lithium is in the one house back from the beryllium in the periodic table. So however this, remember, even in K capsulation means there is a K shell electron get absorbed into the nucleus and inside it captured by proton and proton convert into neutron. That process is called as a K capsulation and specific example given to you. So here also the energy and other things can be, but just given you there is an emission of this Q is comes in the form of X-ray radiation. So details is not necessary, just at least you have to know what is meant by K capsulation, K capture in the nucleus. Now we discussed about the two, that are the alpha decay and beta decay. Now coming to the third one as a gamma decay. What is gamma decay? whenever a nucleus undergo disintegration, forming a new nucleus, the new daughter nucleus will be in the excited state. It comes to ground state by emitting radiation. That radiation is nothing but called as a gamma decay. Gamma decay, gamma ray emitted by a excited nucleus. Excited nucleus will give this one, cobalt 6027. When it is undergoing decay, it becomes nickel 6028, but in the excited state under beta decay, plus energy, maybe beta decay antineutrino plus energy. This nickel 60 in the excited state come to ground state, normal state, by emitting gamma ray photons. So this also gives another interesting phenomena that the nuclear energy are discrete and unique. They are also having definite, unique, discrete values. For example, cobalt 6027 undergone beta decay and given here this coming to the 1 level, as it is 1 photon gives 1.13 MeV, and again come to the ground state another photon of 1.17 to 1.33 MeV, coming to nickel 6028. So here it is in the excited state, 6028 in the excited state, emitting 2 photons. These energy levels are discrete present. Another important information we get from this gamma decay that nuclear energies are, nucleus have different energies, but energy levels are discrete and unique present. So that also given some information under gamma decay. No changes in the mass number, no changes in the charge number, that remains same. This is gamma decay. It is a beta decay, leave it. Only to explain you I taken this. Now gamma decay is connected to this one. Gamma decay, excited nucleus which is in the excited state after emitting beta decay come to ground state by emitting radiation which is called as the gamma ray. Gamma ray radiation come to normal stable state. It is now in the excited state. Emitting excess energy come down to the stable state, gamma radiation. That is about the 3 different types of decay. One I told you, in the Soddy's group displacement law, whenever a nucleus undergo disintegration, in one disintegration of a nucleus, either alpha or beta can be emitted along with gamma ray. Gamma ray emits because of when alpha beta is emitted, daughter nuclei will be in the excited state. By emitting radiation, it comes to ground state. This emitted radiation is nothing but gamma ray. It is a gamma ray. So here alpha decay when take place we explained, and mass number decreased by 4 in the daughter nucleus and charge number by 2. In beta decay there are 2 types, one negative beta decay or positive beta decay. Electrons or positrons are not present inside the nucleus. They are obtained either neutron when converted into proton, a beta decay with antineutrino plus energy releases. Similarly, when a proton converts into neutron plus a neutrino and energy limits. When proton converts into neutron is a positron decay take place. But you cannot see, neutron cannot be outside stable, can be converted into proton easily. But proton outside the nucleus cannot decay because it has not converting into neutron because of its mass is lesser mass. It is stable form to be, having less mass compared to that of neutron. A proton cannot convert into neutron outside the nucleus, but it is possible inside the nucleus. And gamma decay is mainly because when the daughter nucleus is formed under the disintegration process, the excited daughter nuclei come to the ground state or normal state or stable state by emitting gamma radiation, purely radiation which is electromagnetic radiation, a photon which does not change the mass number or the charge atomic number. Mass number and atomic number of the nuclei remain same, but only energy liberates. That is the three different decay, alpha decay, beta decay and gamma decay we discussed. Let us go to the another one which is calling as a disintegration law. This is a displacement law. How we studied about properties of alpha, beta, gamma rays and also studies what happens under alpha decay or beta decay, positive or negative beta decay, K capture as good as gamma decay. Now coming to the next disintegration law. Usually, before going to that, I say that usually in nuclear science, they represent in entrance papers like a nuclear reaction. If they represent like this, the meaning is, so I can write X absorbs A and emits Y plus B. X plus A and Y plus B. Absorbing A liberates B. It is a parent nucleus, it is a daughter nucleus. Remember that equation. In entrance it helps to get the solutions. Let us come to the next one is about the law of radioactive disintegration. It is also called as a decay law. So rate of disintegration of a radioactive sample. Suppose at a time t equal to 0, imagine there are N0 atoms. N0 is the number of atoms present at t equal to 0 second. So when we start the experiment, the number may be n at t seconds. N may be the number of atoms, active atoms. I am saying active atoms, can write active atoms present at t seconds. In this sample, there are present t. In the time dt, dn atoms or nuclei disintegrate in a time dt. That means in the time interval dt, dn atoms are disintegrated. Initially at time 0 may be n0 atoms, we have 1000 for example. When I started experiment, the decay is continuing. It is not asking us, that is not waiting for our reply also, our order also. It goes on spontaneously. When I started to count, the number of atoms present were n at a time t, maybe 12 o'clock. After 12:30, after 30 minutes, that means after an interval of 30 minutes, in that 30 minutes, there is a counter called Geiger-Müller counter which can count the number of decay. Number of atoms decayed is counted to be Dn. We have the relation between them. What we say is Dn atoms are disintegrated in time dt. That I can call it as a rate of disintegration. Rate of disintegration dN by dt. What is the number of atoms decaying per second is directly proportional to the number of atoms present at that instant. When we started the counting of decay, number of atoms present was n. After time dt, how much atoms decayed is dn. dn by dt is found to be directly proportional to n. More the number of atoms, activity is found to be larger. Larger the number of atoms, higher will be the activity. Rate of disintegration, if there is 1000 atoms, rate of disintegration may be 500 per hour. If we have 500, in same 1 hour, we cannot find the 500 atoms to decay. When 1000, we got 500 atoms decayed in 1 hour. If I have 500 atoms, that cannot finish at the end of 1 hour, that reduces to 250. Suppose if I had 200 atoms, in 1 hour, it cannot become negative or dividing that, it only drops to 100. So that means, as the number of active atoms goes on decreases, rate of disintegration of the nuclei is also going on decreasing. This is an average best result got from the experiments of radioactive substances, and come to the conclusion that rate of disintegration of the radioactive nuclei is directly proportional to the number of active atoms in the sample present, irrespective of the surrounding conditions like temperature, pressure, electric or magnetic field or some other. Rate of disintegration of the radioactive sample is directly proportional to the active nuclei present, number of active nuclei present in the sample. ಸ್ಯಾಂಪಲ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಕ್ಷಣಕ್ಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಇರ್ತದೆ ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ ರೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಡಿಸ್ಇಂಟಗ್ರೇಷನ್ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಯಾಂಪಲ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಟಮ್ಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದ್ದಷ್ಟು ಡಿಕೆ ರೇಟ್ ಹೈಯರ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ದಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್. And here we write dn by, this is the law, statement of the law. dn by dt I am writing as minus lambda into n. Here this lambda is a proportionality constant called disintegration constant. Disintegration constant, and lambda can be written as dn by dt upon n, and measured SI unit is per second. Per second, because dn lambda is inversely with the time. We can define on the basis of this constant. It is the characteristic property of the radioactive sample. It is unique value. The value of lambda is not changing for a sample under any circumstances. That is why I told it is the characteristic or the fingerprint of the sample. It is the characteristic of the sample. It is not changing under any circumstances of the given sample. For a given sample, it is unique value. Unique value measured per second, definition can take here. dn by dt is rate of disintegration. n is the number of atoms present in that instant. Therefore, decay constant or disintegration constant of a radioactive sample is defined as the ratio of rate of disintegration of the sample to the number of nuclei present in the sample at that instant. Taken the ratio, rate of disintegration to the number of nuclei present in the sample at that instant. That ratio gives you the definition of lambda, numerical value of lambda. It is unique value, fingerprint, characteristic property, not changes under any circumstances for the given sample. Measured per second. Measured per second. Negative sign implies As the time lapses, dt, as the time lapses, time increases, interval increases, n goes on decreases. N is the active nuclei present in the sample, which is likely to undergo disintegration. As time interval increases, n decreases means more and more time, active nuclei number decreases, no doubt, because they are going on converting, they are going on decaying. That is the relation. The statement is here clearly in words I stated, not written, that rate of disintegration of a radioactive nucleus is directly proportional to the number of nuclei present in the sample at that instant, at under any circumstances of temperature and pressure or any changes in electromagnetic field or electric field. So this equation is given lambda. I brought one constant called disintegration constant. It is having unique value for a given sample. Rate of disintegration to the number of nuclei present in the sample ratio gives you the definition as good as you can write its SI unit as per second. With the help of this equation, we are going to derive an expression which is asking you in the board examination for 5 marks. 5 marks board examination question here. Show that decay is exponential. That is what we told. It is an instantaneous process but a prolonged process. Instantaneous but prolonged process can be had from that. We have to show that decay is exponential. Take the equation that is given here, dN by dt. Rate of disintegration is minus lambda n. If I take only the magnitude, it is plus rate of disintegration. You can write dN by n is equal to lambda into dt. Let it be minus as it is. Why to remove? So number decreases, sorry. Let it be minus dN by dt minus lambda n is equation 1 taken. So minus lambda t, we have this number of dN by n, integrate what we starting with the same. I have not explained that one. How to start with? Let us see. The N0 is the number of nuclei, active nuclei present in the sample at time t equal to 0 second. After some time, when I started the experiment to count, the number of atoms may be n at time t. In time dt, dn atoms are disintegrated. According to the decay law, I can write dn by dt equal to minus lambda n. Now dn by n equal to minus lambda t. Integrate on either side, minus lambda t. dN by n in integration, you know, it is the log to the base En equal to, again I can write it as minus lambda t plus, it is an indefinite integral. I brought the constant, integration constant as c. I am applying a limit as I taken here. When time is 0, n is equal to n0. Take in this equation. If you taken in that equation, you come to know that log E of n0 is equal to 0 plus c. That means c is equal to log E n0. Substituting in equation 2. Substituting in equation 2. Log n minus lambda t plus log n0. This log n0 equal to c, 0 it is. When time is 0, it is 0, but plus c remains. Log e is n0. When n0, t is 0, c equal to log e n0. We have taken in this equation. Bringing this side, you know, log e, n minus log n0 is equal to minus lambda t, or log e of n by n0 equal to minus lambda t. Remove the log, n by n naught equal to e power minus lambda t, or n equal to n naught e to the power of minus lambda t. So mathematical steps, I am making some space for that. En by n naught is equal to e power minus lambda t, or n equal to n naught e power minus lambda t. We got this relation. So this suggests this is the number of nuclei present at any instant of time t. If I write n equal to n naught by e power lambda t, you come to know that time increases, n goes on decreases exponentially. I can show with a curve here. If I draw a curve of n versus time t, if it is n naught, it goes on decreases, because n equal to n naught into e power minus lambda t, or can be written as e power lambda t. So it goes on decreases. As time increases, n should go on decrease, exponentially goes on decreases. That is what we have shown here. Thus this equation itself suggests decay is exponential. With the graph you have to derive this equation. Just I told you have to consider n naught atoms at time t equal to 0 second. When experiment of counting started, so the n atoms present at any time t, in time dt dn atoms are disintegrated. Then we can write, according to the decay law, rate of disintegration equal to minus lambda n, where lambda is a disintegration constant. Rearranging the terms and integration gives you log n equal to minus lambda t plus c. I apply the limit. When time is 0, n is n naught. So therefore log n naught equal to c. Substitution for c in that equation, we got this. And rearranging, we come to the equation n equal to n naught e power minus lambda t. Hence decay is exponential. This is the conclusion you have to write at the end. So this is what derivation I given you here for 5 marks. Sometimes if they ask about the decay law, you have to state rate of disintegration of a radioactive sample is directly proportional to the number of nuclei present in the sample, or equation they ask, you have to write this. And also I defined decay constant, lambda equal to what, and I derived this equation and come to this. As for entrance, another graph I am showing. If you are want this is the number of active nuclei present, where n refers to here, it is number of active nuclei present. Number of nuclei decayed, n dash if I write, saying number of nuclei decayed. Number of decayed, that I can write equation C, n is the n dash if I want meant, n naught minus n I have to write. N naught is the original, n r remained. How much decayed is n dash? This I want means n naught into n naught e power minus lambda t, or n naught if I brought, the equation comes to be 1 minus e power minus lambda t. So as time increases, this term goes on decreases, 1 by. If I rewrite here n naught into 1 minus 1 by e power lambda t, negative term decreases means this term increases exponentially with respect to time. This is the graph. This represents active nuclei present. This represents number of nuclei decayed, the two curves. I can show another curve. So that is one of the important, but I am talking about this entrance point. after the derivation, here mainly we come to know disintegration law, and also we studied and shown that how decay is exponential. The equation derived. Now graphical representation of the decay, it is active nuclei versus time, decay nuclei versus time. The same equation, if I take n equal to n naught e power minus lambda t, I can write as log e n equal to log e n naught minus lambda t, or I can write this as minus lambda t equal to log e of n by n naught, or t equal to log e 1 by lambda minus 1 by lambda into log e of n by n naught. This equation, if you observed, it is a negative slope, finite value is n naught, goes on decreases, a straight line graph t versus the log n by n naught graph will be like this. It's a decreasing curve. Minus sign indicates slope is negative. Already this is a characteristic property, is constant. As time elapses, this curve goes on, decreases, and y equal to mx plus c form, c is 0. But it is a standard form of y equal to mx plus c, so the graph will be a negative slope. There are three types of graph usually we see in case of entrance. If they ask log n by n naught versus t, the graph is number of decay nuclei versus time is this graph. Number of active nuclei versus graph asks the third graph. So with this, let us come to redefine the, sometimes in the board examination, you are asking to define the decay constant after deriving that equation of decay, exponential decay. That is, we have equation n equal to n naught e power minus lambda t, this relation. So if I take the t equal to 1 by lambda, the equation become n naught into, if I denominator taken, e power lambda into 1 by lambda, which become just n naught by e. n naught by e, this I can write as n naught by e, and this is I am considering as a interval of time, or I can write this n naught by 2.713, or it is 0.37 n naught, or in percentage if I write n naught into 100 become 37%. What is percentage of active sample, that is active nuclei in the sample? Active nuclei in the sample remained is 37. That means if we have earlier in the beginning 100 nuclei, 37 active nuclei remained in the sample, 63 are disintegrated. 37 remained, 63 are disintegrated. The time taken for that, the decay constant I can define as 1 by t from this. This is also taken as a definition to define the decay constant. Decay constant may also be defined as reciprocal of the time during which the sample reduced to 30% of its initial value, or 1 by e times of its initial value. The active nuclei present remains 1 by e times of initial value, or 37% of initial value. That reciprocal of that time is decay constant. Sometimes you are asked to derive this and also define on the basis only, because already we have equation lambda is equal to dn by dt by n we defined. We have a definition for decay constant earlier. It is defined as the ratio of rate of disintegration to the number of nuclei present. Sometimes specifically in the board examination they are asking derive this relation and define a decay constant. In that case you have to define like this only. Decay constant of a radioactive sample is reciprocal of the time is equal to the reciprocal of the time interval during which the sample reduced to 1 by E times if its initial value or 37% of its initial value. I explained you, if you have 100 nuclei in the sample, the time interval to finish 63 nuclei or to remain 37 nuclei is a time interval. Only active remain 37 or 63 should be decayed. Reciprocal of the time is defined as the decay constant measured in per second. Per second it is unique value, already I told you it is having unique value. And further I told in the beginning that a nuclei disintegrate become B, C, D like that. So its decay constant may be, because this nuclei is different, daughter nuclei is different. All the nuclei in the A are decaying with lambda only. It may have lambda 2, it may have lambda 3 like that. So the continuous process, one nuclei disintegrate become daughter nuclei entirely different nuclei, that also decays and gives the third one. So in that process decay constant may be different, but there is a relation we found. Effect, this is called as a parallel decay. Parallel decay in which effective decay can be written as lambda 1 plus lambda 2 plus lambda 3 like that. Decay constant of individual daughter nuclei can be taken as effective decay of the combined. In parallel decay, one sample nuclei is undergoing decay producing B. B is also undergoing decay producing C having decay constant lambda 2. C is undergoing decay producing new nuclei D having lambda 3. Then what is lambda of the original sample considering this totally is lambda 1 plus lambda 2 plus lambda 3 as lambda E. Effective can also be taken. Keep in memory this. With this knowledge, let us see, go towards the activity of a radioactive sample. I hope you are understood. So we derived the expression this and defined a decay constant in the terms of this reciprocal of the time interval during which sample should reduce to 1 by E times of its initial value or 37% of its value. And also under parallel decay what happens? Now I am coming to the term called activity. Activity of a radioactive sample. That usually we write A, sometimes they are using the capital R also. A is nothing but magnitude of the rate of disintegration. Number of nuclei disintegrating per second is called activity of the sample. Already you know it is equal to lambda n. You know n is equal to n naught into e to the power of minus lambda t. When you look into this, I can write a naught similarly from the first one as n naught. When time is 0, activity may be a naught, rate of disintegration may be a naught. After certain time the activity may be a. Now I can write this as a naught into e power minus lambda t. I got an equation here. And this equation, there are two relations we come to know. And even this we write later because half-life is not studied. I come to later one. Okay. Now you come to know activity is nothing but rate of disintegration of the nuclei, lambda n, where lambda is a decay constant and n is the active nuclei present in the sample at that instant. That can also be shown in the forum. Thereby, one liberty in solving the problems in radioactivity is we derived number of atoms in the sample. This is the equation derived for number of nuclei present in the sample. This is number of active nuclei present. Here A is equal to A naught into e power minus lambda t. This suggests activity, present activity when time t, and also mass left, original mass e power minus lambda t. Any form this equation can be written to solve the problem. If they given the data in terms of mass or activity or number of nuclei, can be used directly. And this activity has unit, practical unit is Curie. 1 Curie is equal to 3.7 into 10 power 10 disintegration per second, actual activity of 1 gram of radium. This is taking as a standard unit, practical unit for measurement of activity of a radioactive sample. 1 Curie means 3.7 into 10 power 10 disintegration per second. You may be thinking how this number is concluded by Curie. That is drawn from 1 gram of radium. If you taken 1 gram of radium and started to count the activity, so you are seeing 1 gram radium when you place in the counter, in 1 second it reads this much of disintegration. Approximate averaged activity of 1 gram of radium per second is this. This is taken as a measurement of activity of the radioactive sample. But what is the SI unit if the question asked? SI unit is a becquerel. That is equal to 1 disintegration per second. Most simple. In 1 second, 1 nuclei is disintegrating, that is defined as becquerel. Therefore, 1 Curie can be written as 3.7 into 10 power 10 becquerel. Because 1 disintegration per second, 1 becquerel, SI unit, practical unit is Curie. We brought the relation between the two. 1 Curie equal to 3.7 into 10 power 10 becquerel. So I hope you are understood what is meant by activity. Rate of disintegration, lambda n, what is lambda, what is n explained. And then equation can be had of this form, or mass or activity n we can use directly to solve the problems. And practical unit of activity is Curie, that is equal to approximate average activity of the 1 gram of radium, 3.7 into 10 power 10 disintegration per second. SI unit is becquerel, 1 disintegration per second. And coming to the next is, suppose in the container there are 2 samples having activity 1 and activity 2 mixed. We are two samples, 2 different elements, radioactive new substances are mixed having activity A1 and A2. Then effective activity can be written as effective activity is A1 plus A2 directly, because one is not influencing the other. So one may be uranium, another may be thorium. You keep both of them together and measure it, it will not happen anything. So other daughter nuclei forming, they are also active. That is also undergoing decay. But effective activity can be obtained as A1 plus A2. That is lambda E N E is equal to lambda 1 N1 plus lambda 2 N2 like that. Can be used to solve the problems regarding this. With this, let us come to the important terms used in radioactivity as the half-life and mean life. So we have discussed what is radioactive disintegration law, derived the expression for this, we defined lambda on the basis of that. and also considered activity, two equations, practical unit, SI unit and interrelation between them. If the unit contains more than one active substances, then total activity is equal to sum of the activity of individual samples. Now the two important terms we coming to understand is about the half-life and mean life. Half-life. Here the meaning of half-life is, you can measure either in terms of mass or in terms of number of nuclei, active nuclei, or mass of active nuclei. So then time interval in which sample, if there is 100, has to go to 50. If there is 50, has to go to 25. If there are 10, to go to 5. If there are 2, go to 1. What we see is it should come down to 50%. In percentage I written. The time taken by the radioactive sample to reduce to 50% of its initial value is called half-life. Half-life of a radioactive sample is nothing but the time interval taken by the sample to reduce to 50% of its initial value. Suppose if there are 100 nuclei, it has to become 50. If there are 50 nuclei, it has to become 25. 10, 5, 2, 1, don't ask 1 what happens. So 50% reducing time, SI unit is second. We can bring the relation between decay constant and half-life. Now we have also already come to know that what is meant by half-life. Now again there is a 3-mark question usually appeared in board examination, that relation between half-life and decay constant. And remember, this is also as like decay constant is unique and it is a characteristic of the sample, not changes under any circumstances. Half-life is also the unique characteristic of the sample. It is not changing under any circumstances. It is again a fingerprint of that. It throws light on what is the rate at which the activity takes place. Because half-life, an average half-life of a sample gives us at what time almost the sample what we have can reduce to. How much activity we can get can be understood by that knowledge. So let us come to the equation. We know that decay is exponential relation n equal to n naught into e power minus lambda t. So in this, if I consider it is equation, if n is equal to n naught by 2, 50% becomes, then small t can be written as capital as half-life of the sample. Then equation can be written n naught by 2 equal to n naught by e power lambda t. I taken minus lambda plus and capital T, because when I written n naught by 2, then t must be capital T as a half-life. Both interchange you will write 2 is equal to e power lambda t. we got one expression 2 equal to e power lambda t. Lambda t is equal to ln 2. That means log to the base e2, ln 2 we are writing. Therefore, half-life t is equal to ln 2 by lambda is one relation. Sometimes you need in the in the entrance examination that equation directly. Or log e can be converted into log 10 and written as 2.303 into log 2 divided by lambda is another equation we can write and using in the exam. Log 2 you know the value 2.303 0.3010 by lambda. Simplified you will get it 0.693 by lambda is the third relation. But you have to derive up to this. The intermediate steps I only shown many times in entrance problems, those relations help you much. We have taken the equation n equal to n naught e power minus lambda t. Decay is exponential. N equal to n naught by 2. T equal to capital T. Half-life substituted and we got that relation. Ln 2 by lambda is equal to half-life or 2.303 log 2 by lambda is a half-life or 0.693 by lambda is a half-life. That indicates half-life is inversely proportional to lambda. T is inversely proportional to lambda. As decay constant is higher, half-life is less. Half-life is smaller, decay constant is higher. So this is derivation concern for 3 marks. For 5 marks they may ask, what they do is, they ask the definition of both. Define half-life, define a decay constant and obtain the relation between them. There is a possibility. If independently asked, they go for this one. I think you have followed this relation. With this I conclude today, and remaining some applications we can see with the mean life and radioisotopes and go to the numericals. Is a small chapter, radioactivity. We started from what is radioactivity mean and also the properties of radioactive substance, alpha, beta and property of radioactivity and also the properties of alpha, beta and gamma radiations, Soddy's group displacement law, alpha decay, beta decay, positive and negative, K capture, and also we come about the disintegration law. As n is equal to n naught e power minus lambda t, we have shown that decay is exponential. And also we arrived activity, rate of disintegration of the sample and equation for unit employed for that as a Curie and relation between Curie and the Becquerel SI unit and half-life and derivation for relation between half-life and decay constant we had here. So carefully observe this. I hope you are understood what is the meaning of half-life, an important term we are using in radioactive units. So thank you today. Let us see tomorrow the remaining.